Hi Angie. Hi Tom. This is Nate. Hope you had a great week. I thought I would voice over a few details in our 12-minute uh, product introduction video. And thanks for all the pre-research you've done. Just going to cover a couple situations here. This was our first uh, trial in Massachusetts where I was just discovering that the material did some very unique things in comparison to other materials. Here we're showing how the oil is bermed very nicely with just a small amount of material. It's a reoccurring aspect here that with just a little bit of material we berm up oil from flowing, and that's really handy in emergency situations. Kind of self-explanatory. I'm using 100% Krudz 502 here, which is not necessary or the most cost-effective way. In a bit here I'll show you how we add some cellulose on the crop circle section. Some of the first experts that reviewed the material. This is a machine shop where the machines leak oil all day long from the cast iron, and just laying it down we improve friction, and the resulting material is very nice to handle, very lightweight, very easy to vacuum and sweep in comparison to anything else. You're familiar with this video here. This is a catch basin for used engine oil, and what I've done here is I found an old piece of material, some really grungy stuff on it. That's used engine oil, nasty stuff, and I use it to coat the floor, stop the spill from running, and even clean off the gloves in seconds without, with eliminating the need for paper towels. Cleans rubber, the bottom of your shoes, the inside of a vacuum. Here I'm adding peanut oil, which is a plant oil, and I'm applying it to the top of a very caked on grungy surface, very greasy, covered with dirt and metal and things like that. But with a couple minutes work we get right down to the metal. Here you can see I'm vacuuming it. It's a good section right here where I'm using a really nice brush, and we're not using solvents or paper towels, and the resulting material is just a small pile of the 502. Now this metal is cleaned right down to the bare metal, and we have other videos on this, but there's just no oil there. I would hesitate to say it might be ready for paint after a few seconds of work. Add a little bit more simple green if you'd like. This is one of our first presentations with a group of environmental expert firms in Deer Park, Texas, getting into January. It's with a BOSFAC company, Environmental Resources, our good friend Dan Pose at Gulf Coast Wolverine. And here I'm showing how in several different methods we can capture oil from water very quickly and easily. I'm simulating putting two-stroke engine oil into the bottom of that beaker there, just mixing water and the 502. You pour it in and it agitates around, and we're grabbing that oil in the water and turning it into a really nice material that can be put through all kinds of filters. And the unique aspect of that is that material there is encapsulating the oil, and then we can pour it through a filter. I wasn't pleased with this demo. I used a really low-end filter material, and we have specifications on how to add this to other types of filter material and get it completely out of the water. In this case, a little bit of the oil made it through, but we grabbed 99% of that oil very quickly. Very similar. I actually did this one first before I went out to Deer Park. This is at the Vichem Corporation in Conroe, Texas. Great partner of ours. years of experience. Mixing up the hydrophobic 502, it does not absorb the water. And just as we did in Deer Park, you throw it in there and you can see us grabbing that oil, encapsulating it, and separating it from the water. This also works with gasoline, jet fuel, antifreeze, brake fuel, oil, anything found, any liquid found in a vehicle, we grab if it's hydrocarbon related. Again, you can see it flowing there nicely. That means a lot because it'll flow out of tanks. And in the second case here, I put the oil on top of water, and you can see how the 502 floats up. Little bit of mixing, and we're good. I poured it through a filter, and this was actually my second pass through a filter, a better filter. As you can see, we're somewhere around 99%, 99.5% of the oil. If that was gasoline, you would still be able to smell a hint of it. Diesel fuel, jet fuel, still be able to smell it slightly. You wouldn't want to drink that oil, but it's very, very clean very quickly, and a lot of our competing solutions need some very high-end filters and a lot of electricity. It's one of the first tests that's used engine oil. I just put it in the middle of the oil. It was in a very still environment, and we pulled the oil out with no agitation. This is what you just saw there was spilled transmission fluid. Silica dust on concrete is a well-known dangerous substance. It does have a touch of oil in it, and as you can see, the Krudz 502 here is turning brown as we sweep along. I did this test for a very large refinery or demonstration for a very large refinery in Texas City, where they said we need this stuff to burn, BERM, and as you can see, the cellulose on the right leaches through, becomes super saturated, and then releases that, where we hold that oil for much, much longer time. Coming up is our very first test with removing oil from water. It's our colleague Mike up in Medford, Oregon. He's the first one to try it. And this is simply a cheesecloth. Nothing special. It's amazing. The resulting 502 oil combination grabs that oil once again, floats it, and with a 30-cent cheesecloth, you're going to see Mike turn it into nothing but water. This was pretty exciting the first time we did this about a year ago. This is a good little snippet as a teaser to just show the basics. Again, simple filter material, and we can remove a very competitive amount of material, of hydrocarbons there. It's a wonderful sweeping compound, and here I made a nice berm with a very, very thin layer. This is in Conroe. There's a peanut oil on the left, used engine oil on the right, 100% 502 at this point, and we have stopped that from flowing. Here I threw in some cellulose that you can buy at just about anywhere. And the 80-20 rule, we make the cellulose work a lot better. If this was just cellulose, there would be sheen. And I'm getting, that's untreated concrete there, and that oil is gone. And Mr. Grant Peterson would have flipped if I would have stained his concrete right in the middle of the warehouse that they have there. Grungy stuff, it works great. I've demoed a Jiffy Lube. This is the use of the material in socks that I fabbed up. Blown melt fiber on the outside, and that's no gimmick there. We removed that oil, just went into the sock. This is a use case in shop environments. Anti-seize is just horrible stuff on your hand. What I'm showing there is a real mess. It's a real work stoppage for shops all around the world to put the anti-seize on the bolts, and so you can pull the bolts out later after years of use. That's a very high-end oil, plus powdered metals of all sorts, copper, all kinds of metals are in that. And we're doing a use case test today with graphite anti-seize in Ohio. And just with 3 or 4 minutes of work, no solvents. That glove there is completely clean, lots of friction. I haven't used a drop of solvents at this point, nothing harmful for the lungs. I'm protecting the cardboard there with some used 502, and when I swept it later, the oil did not leach into that cardboard. That was a part of the test as well, to show how when we grab the light or semi-solid oil, we've pretty much grabbed it for a very long time. So I kept rubbing the concentrated powder there. The glove is perfect. There's my skin with no solvents whatsoever. In between that step, I did wash my hands with just a little water and a little bit of soap. You can see there's no staining here. You can see the used 502 flowing around nicely. It goes right into a shop vac. Coming up here on a prototype material that we're testing to put out a fire with a 502. 502 will burn with gasoline in it, but everything does. And this material is known to be a beautiful biodegradable fire extinguisher powder, and we've added them together. That was gasoline and oil burning in that pan, quite a bit of gasoline. And that was the final prototype sample I just dropped there. But there's still gasoline in that powder, and as you can see, we're not catching on fire. I don't know of any other powders that we can buy that do that. It's a pretty rare material. We'll let you know more about that in the future. And back over to a tabletop. This was some of the first time lapse I was shooting about February, March 2020. And again, we're putting used engine oil into water. This is time lapse, so you can see the oil creeping up into the 502 powder there. And we're encapsulating it. If that were gasoline, it would be the same, or jet fuel or diesel. The used engine oil shows up pretty well. So you have that nice lovely material there. And then to catch up with Mike, I put together a basic filter out of a t-shirt, in this case, one of the first ones we've done. So thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.